By 52 BCE, Gaul is engulfed in flames, a land ravaged by years of conquest. Julius Caesar's legions, relentless and disciplined, have shattered tribes, imposing Roman law and tribute upon a territory that knows neither. Roads snake through the countryside, lined with the remnants of fortifications and camps. Each scar on the land tells a story of subjugation, as Caesar's ambitions stretch towards the horizon, fueled by a thirst for power. Yet in this conquered land, a spark of resistance ignites. Vercingetorix, a young Arvernian noble with fierce determination, rallies the fractured tribes of Gaul. His vision is clear: expel Rome or perish fighting. Vercingetorix's call resonates, uniting warriors under a common banner. Villages burn, not just as a tactic, but as a declaration of defiance. The land becomes a battlefield, where survival hinges on unity and sacrifice. Fields lie desolate, crops destroyed to deny Caesar's legions their supplies. The war escalates, transforming into a total conflict. For Caesar, this revolt is not merely a challenge, it threatens his very political survival. As the flames of rebellion spread, Caesar's resolve hardens. He knows that one decisive victory is needed to quell the uprising. The stakes are high, and the eyes of Rome are upon him. The Gallic resistance, once splintered, now stands united under Vercingetorix's leadership. Each tribe brings its warriors, forging a coalition that threatens to turn the tide against Roman dominance. The tension mounts as both sides prepare for inevitable confrontation. Caesar's legions, battle-hardened and disciplined, march forward, while Vercingetorix's forces dig in, ready to defend their homeland. As the sun sets, casting long shadows over the land, the air thickens with anticipation. The clash of two worlds looms, and the outcome will shape the future of Gaul and Rome. In this moment of uncertainty, both Caesar and Vercingetorix know that the stakes have never been higher. The flames of war threaten to consume them all, igniting a struggle for freedom and power. As the drums of war echo across the valleys, the question remains: who will emerge victorious from the ashes of this conflict? The fate of Gaul hangs in the balance, and the stage is set for Alesia. As Vercingetorix retreats into the fortified hill town of Alesia, his heart races. The stone walls rise high, a beacon of hope against the advancing Roman legions. He knows the terrain favors him, but the threat of Caesar looms large. His Gallic warriors, fierce and determined, gather around him, their faces set with resolve. They believe the might of Rome has overextended itself, and victory is within reach. From his command tent, Julius Caesar studies the landscape with a furrowed brow. The Roman general, in his 40s, with a weathered face and keen blue eyes, knows the stakes. His army is smaller than the combined Gallic forces, yet he believes in the discipline of his men and the power of Roman engineering. A decision weighs heavily on him: to attack or to besiege. Caesar's mind races through the possibilities. An assault on Alesia could lead to disaster, especially if Vercingetorix's forces are bolstered by a relief army. Instead, he chooses a path less traveled. He orders a siege, trusting that Roman fortifications will outlast the Gallic resolve. The decision is daring, a gamble that could reshape the course of the war. As the sun rises over Alesia, Roman soldiers begin their relentless work. They dig trenches, their shovels biting into the earth with purpose. The air is thick with dust and determination. Each soldier, clad in armor, moves with precision, knowing that their efforts will determine the outcome of this pivotal moment. The siege is underway, and the clock is ticking. Days turn into weeks as the siege progresses. The sounds of hammering and digging fill the air, punctuated by the distant cries of Gallic warriors. Caesar oversees the construction of ramparts and towers, confident in the strength of Roman engineering. His men toil tirelessly, their faces reflecting the strain of the task ahead. Alesia becomes a test of endurance. Inside Alesia, Vercingetorix watches the Roman preparations with a mix of dread and defiance. He knows that time is against him. The Gallic warriors, once filled with confidence, now feel the weight of uncertainty. Supplies are dwindling, and the reality of their situation begins to sink in. The walls, once a symbol of security, now feel like a prison. Caesar's strategy unfolds with meticulous precision. He orders the construction of a second line of fortifications, facing outward to guard against a potential relief army. This unprecedented move transforms Alesia into a fortress of dual purpose. The Romans prepare not only to hold their ground, but to confront any Gallic reinforcements that dare to approach. As the siege drags on, the tension mounts. Vercingetorix rallies his warriors, urging them to hold fast. He knows that the fate of Gaul hangs in the balance. The walls of Alesia, once a sanctuary, now echo with the sounds of anxiety and fear. Each passing day brings them closer to either salvation or ruin. The Romans, bolstered by their fortifications, grow more confident. Caesar moves among his troops, instilling discipline and focus. He understands that this siege is not merely a battle, it is a test of nerve and will. The Romans are prepared to endure, but they must also remain vigilant, as the threat of a Gallic relief force looms ever closer. As the sun sets over Alesia, the atmosphere thickens with anticipation. Vercingetorix gazes at the horizon, searching for signs of the relief army. He knows that the outcome of this siege will determine not just his fate, but the future of all Gaul. Hope flickers like a candle in the dark, fragile yet persistent. The stage is set for a monumental clash. The Romans are fortified and ready, while the Gallic warriors inside Alesia cling to hope. Caesar's gamble hangs in the balance, and as the days stretch on, the tension mounts. Will relief arrive in time, or will Alesia become the grave of Gaul's rebellion? As dawn breaks over Alesia, the air is thick with anticipation. Roman soldiers, clad in weathered armor, begin to dig into the earth, their shovels striking the ground with a rhythmic determination. Each trench carved is a testament to their resolve, a promise of what is to come. Day and night the labor continues. The soldiers, faces smeared with dirt and sweat, work tirelessly, their bodies moving in unison. The sound of metal against stone echoes as they construct a formidable circumvallation, a complete ring of fortifications encircling the hilltop stronghold. Caesar, a man in his mid-50s with a commanding presence, watches from a distance. His sharp blue eyes scan the horizon, calculating the risks. He knows that every moment spent fortifying Alesia brings him closer to either victory or ruin. His ambition fuels the effort. As the fortifications rise, wooden towers begin to take shape. The soldiers work with precision, their hands deftly assembling the structures that will soon provide vantage points for archers and sentinels. Each tower stands as a symbol of Roman engineering prowess. The air is filled with the sounds of labor. Stakes are driven into the ground, pits are dug, and hidden traps are laid with meticulous care. The Romans are not merely building a wall, they are crafting a battlefield, a deadly maze for any who dare approach. Weeks pass, and the landscape transforms. The circumvallation stands tall, a testament to Roman discipline and ingenuity. Yet Caesar, ever vigilant, anticipates the Gallic relief force. He orders a second line of fortifications, the contravallation, to face outward against any attackers. The two walls create a formidable barrier, a dual front that prepares the Romans for the inevitable clash. Each soldier understands the stakes. They are not just defending a position, but their very way of life. The tension is palpable as they ready themselves for the fight ahead. As the fortifications reach completion, the Romans take a moment to survey their work. The landscape is now a battlefield, engineered to withstand the might of the Gallic forces. Each stone and timber represents their collective will, a bulwark against the chaos that looms. The soldiers' spirits are bolstered by their achievements, but the shadow of uncertainty looms. They know that soon the Gallic warriors will test the strength of their defenses. The air crackles with anticipation as the siege becomes a waiting game between two worlds. With the fortifications complete, Caesar gathers his commanders. His voice cuts through the tension, outlining their strategy. He emphasizes the importance of discipline and coordination, knowing that their survival hinges on unity in the face of overwhelming odds. As night descends, the Romans prepare for what lies ahead. The walls they have built stand as a testament to their resolve, but the true test is yet to come. The fate of Alesia, and perhaps all of Gaul, hangs in the balance. Inside the fortified walls of Alesia, the air grows heavy with despair. Supplies are dwindling, and the once vibrant marketplace is now a ghostly reminder of better days. Vercingetorix, a tall Arvernian noble with dark hair and piercing blue eyes, stares at the empty granaries, knowing that hope is slipping away. Days turn into weeks, and the once proud defenders of Alesia feel the weight of hunger. The sound of hooves is replaced by the echoes of empty stomachs. Horses, once symbols of strength, are now sacrificed for sustenance, their lifeless bodies a grim testament to desperation. Vercingetorix, his face lined with fatigue, paces the war room as he contemplates the fate of his people. His mind races with thoughts of the approaching relief army, yet uncertainty gnaws at him. Time is slipping through his fingers like sand. As rations grow scarce, the mood among the Gallic warriors shifts. Restlessness spreads like wildfire. They whisper of rebellion against their leader, questioning whether Vercingetorix can deliver them from this siege. Doubt begins to fracture their unity. In a desperate move, Vercingetorix orders civilians to leave the city, hoping to secure more resources for the fighters. As they approach the Roman lines, they are met with a cold refusal. The Romans, under Caesar's orders, will not allow them passage. The sight of starving civilians caught between the walls becomes a haunting image for both armies. For the Romans, it is a reminder of the stakes involved in this brutal siege. For the defenders, it is a painful symbol of their dwindling hope. Morale within Alesia continues to fray. The once unified warriors now find themselves questioning their leader's decisions. Vercingetorix, aware of the growing dissent, struggles to maintain order as the pressure mounts from both hunger and fear. With every passing day, the reality of starvation becomes more apparent. The once vibrant banners of Alesia hang limp, their colors faded. Vercingetorix watches as the spirit of his people begins to wither, a heavy burden on his shoulders. In the dark of night, the sounds of hunger echo through the city. Warriors lay awake, their bodies weak, minds racing with thoughts of survival. Vercingetorix knows that the fate of Gaul rests on the arrival of the relief army. As the days drag on, the tension in Alesia thickens. Vercingetorix's resolve is tested, yet he clings to the belief that relief is imminent. Each passing moment feels like an eternity, and the fate of his people hangs in the balance. The hunger within Alesia is a palpable force, gnawing at the hearts of the defenders. Vercingetorix knows that every decision he makes could be the difference between survival and annihilation. The question remains, will relief come in time? As dawn breaks over Alesia, a cloud of dust rises on the horizon, signaling the approach of a massive Gallic relief force. Vercingetorix, a young Arvernian noble with dark hair and piercing blue eyes, stands atop the walls, hope igniting in his heart. The sound of trumpets echoes through the valley, rallying the beleaguered defenders within the fortifications. This is the moment they have awaited, the chance to strike back against the Romans. The Gallic relief army, numbering tens of thousands, surges forward, a sea of warriors clad in animal hides and chainmail. They carry banners aloft, vibrant colors fluttering in the wind. Fires blaze along the hills, signaling their arrival to the defenders. Vercingetorix, emboldened by their presence, rallies his men, urging them to prepare for a coordinated assault against the Roman lines that encircle their stronghold. Inside Alesia, the defenders feel a renewed vigor as they witness the approaching relief force. Vercingetorix's voice rises above the clamor, calling for unity and strength. The Gallic warriors, previously weary and demoralized, now grip their weapons tightly, their spirits ignited by the prospect of freedom. They prepare to launch a fierce counterattack, determined to break the Roman siege once and for all. Caesar, aware of the impending threat, moves swiftly among his troops, a figure of authority in his red cloak. His sharp gaze scans the horizon, calculating the best strategies to defend against the dual assault. Roman soldiers scramble to their posts, tension palpable as they prepare for the chaos that is about to unfold. The disciplined legions brace themselves, knowing that their resolve will be tested like never before. As the sun climbs higher, the battlefield erupts into chaos. Gallic warriors surge from Alesia, launching coordinated attacks against the Roman fortifications. Simultaneously, the relief army crashes into the outer Roman defenses, creating a cacophony of clashing steel and war cries. Missiles rain down from both sides, darkening the sky, as the struggle for control of Alesia reaches a fever pitch. Cavalry charges crash against the Roman lines, the thunder of hooves resonating across the battlefield. The Gallic cavalry, fierce and determined, seeks to exploit any weakness in Caesar's defenses. Roman soldiers brace for impact, their formations tested as they hold their ground against the onslaught. The clash of horses and men creates a brutal symphony of war, echoing through the valleys. Amidst the chaos, Caesar remains a constant presence, directing his troops with precision. He reinforces weak points, his voice cutting through the din of battle. The Roman general's experience shines as he adapts to the shifting tides of combat. Each decision carries the weight of destiny, as he fights not just for victory, but for the very survival of his legions against overwhelming odds. The relentless attacks from the Gallic relief force begin to take their toll on the Roman fortifications. Earthworks tremble under the pressure, and the Roman soldiers feel the strain of their dual defense. Yet Caesar's leadership holds firm. He encourages his men, reminding them of their training and discipline, urging them to withstand the storm of the Gallic onslaught. As the battle rages on, the lines blur between the besieged and the besiegers. Gallic warriors inside Alesia coordinate their strikes with the relief army, creating a formidable two-front assault. The Romans, caught in the maelstrom, fight desperately to maintain control. Every inch of ground becomes a battleground, and the air thickens with the scent of sweat and blood. The sun begins to set, casting long shadows over the battlefield. The fighting shows no signs of abating, and both sides are pushed to their limits. Caesar, his face marked by fatigue and determination, realizes that the outcome hangs by a thread. The fate of Alesia, and perhaps the entire campaign, teeters on the brink as the struggle intensifies. With the battle still raging, a sense of urgency fills the air. The Romans must hold their ground, but the Gallic forces are relentless, driven by the promise of freedom. The stakes have never been higher, and as night approaches, both sides prepare for the next phase of conflict. The siege is far from over, and the struggle for Alesia continues to unfold. As dawn breaks over Alesia, the air thickens with tension. The Gallic warriors, emboldened by desperation, prepare for an all-out assault on the Roman fortifications. Their eyes burn with determination, knowing this may be their last chance to break the siege. At the weakest point of the Roman defenses, the Gauls unleash their fury. Arrows rain down and siege engines rumble forward, crashing against the earthworks. The Roman soldiers brace themselves, hearts pounding as they prepare to hold the line. The ground shakes as the Gauls push against the Roman walls. Earthworks begin to crumble under the relentless assault. For a moment, it seems the double fortifications might give way, threatening to swallow Caesar's ambitions whole. In the midst of chaos, Julius Caesar, a man in his early 50s with a weathered face and piercing blue eyes, dons his iconic red cloak. He moves through the ranks, rallying his men, his presence a beacon of resolve amid the turmoil. The German cavalry, fierce and swift, charges into the fray, striking the Gallic flank. Their unexpected arrival turns the tide, forcing the Gauls to redirect their focus, but the battle remains a brutal stalemate. With each passing moment, the struggle intensifies. Roman units are pushed back, yet Caesar's strategic mind races. He knows that every inch lost could mean the end of his campaign, and he must act decisively to regain control. The clash of steel and the cries of men fill the air as the battle stretches on. The Gauls, fueled by desperation, continue their relentless assault, while the Romans fight to maintain their ground, each side unwilling to yield. As the sun climbs higher, the exhaustion of both armies becomes evident. The Roman lines tremble under the pressure, but Caesar's resolve strengthens. He knows that a single moment of weakness could spell disaster for Rome. The battle rages on, a brutal test of wills. The Gauls push harder, sensing victory within reach, while the Romans cling to their defenses, their fate hanging by a thread. The outcome remains uncertain and precarious. As the day wears on, the tide of battle shifts yet again. The Gauls, sensing their moment, press forward with renewed vigor. Caesar, ever vigilant, prepares to counter the onslaught, knowing that the fight is far from over. As dawn breaks over the besieged Alesia, the air is thick with tension. The once coordinated Gallic relief force now falters under relentless Roman counterattacks. Vercingetorix, a young Arvernian noble with dark hair and piercing blue eyes, watches from the walls, his face etched with worry as he realizes the tide is turning against them. The Roman legions, disciplined and relentless, push forward, cutting through the disorganized Gallic lines. Vercingetorix feels the weight of despair settle over him as he witnesses his warriors, once so united, now scattered and vulnerable amidst the chaos of battle. As the fighting intensifies, the signals meant to coordinate the Gallic assault fail. Confusion reigns. Vercingetorix, once a beacon of hope, now grapples with the grim reality that his forces are losing cohesion and morale is plummeting. Inside Alesia, the defenders grow increasingly desperate. Food supplies dwindle, and the civilians suffer alongside the warriors. Vercingetorix's heart sinks as he realizes that hope is slipping away, and the walls that once protected them now feel like a prison. The relentless Roman counterattacks continue to cut through the Gallic ranks. Vercingetorix, his armor now scratched and dirty, feels the weight of leadership pressing down on him. He knows that the moment of decision is approaching, and the stakes have never been higher. As the sun sets, casting long shadows over the battlefield, Vercingetorix understands that the relief has failed. The realization hits him hard. Resistance now means annihilation. The fight for survival has turned into a fight for dignity. With the dawn of a new day, Vercingetorix makes a fateful decision. He knows that further resistance will lead only to death. He prepares to ride out, a solitary figure against the backdrop of the Roman legions, to surrender and save his people from annihilation. As he approaches Caesar, the weight of his choice bears down on him. The once mighty leader of the Gallic tribes dismounts, his expression a mixture of defiance and resignation. The rebellion, once a fierce flame, now flickers in the cold light of surrender. Caesar, ever the strategist, recognizes the significance of this moment. The surrender of Vercingetorix marks not just the end of a battle, but the extinguishing of a rebellion that had once threatened Rome's very foundations. As silence falls over the battlefield, the reality of defeat settles in. Gaul's rebellion ends not with chaos, but with a quiet resignation. The echoes of hope fade, leaving only the stark truth of what has been lost. The siege of Alesia has concluded, sealing Julius Caesar's legacy as Rome's preeminent military leader. The fields once echoing with the clash of arms now lie silent, yet the impact of this victory reverberates through history. With Vercingetorix's surrender, the Gallic resistance crumbles. The once united tribes, now fractured, face a new reality under Roman rule. Their spirit is subdued, but the memory of their struggle lingers in the air. Caesar's triumph at Alesia paves the way for the expansion of Roman territory. The boundaries of the Republic stretch further, incorporating the lands of Gaul into the empire's ever-growing grasp. Yet this victory carries a heavy weight. The Senate watches Caesar's ascent with growing unease. His power threatens the very foundations of the Republic, igniting fears of tyranny and civil strife. As the years pass, Caesar's military successes lead to his increasing influence. The loyalty of his legions becomes a double-edged sword as they bolster his position while sowing discord among the political elite. The legacy of Alesia extends beyond the battlefield. It becomes a symbol of Roman engineering and military strategy, showcasing the might of a civilization that could bend the will of its enemies. In the years that follow, the memory of Vercingetorix and the Gallic resistance fuels future generations. Their fight against Rome becomes a tale of courage that inspires those who seek freedom from oppression. The fields of Alesia, now peaceful, conceal the scars of a monumental clash. Beneath the surface, the remnants of the greatest engineered battlefield of the ancient world lie in quiet repose. Alesia is not merely a location on a map. It is a testament to the human spirit's resilience and the relentless pursuit of power. The lessons learned here shape the future of Rome and its empire. In the end, the siege of Alesia marks a turning point in history, where walls, discipline, and leadership forged an empire. The echoes of this battle remind us of the cost of ambition and the quest for freedom.